Greetings, gang. John Stamos here, the Renaissance Garden Guy, from my Hardiness Zone 5B6A garden in Michiana Shores. Today's kind of an interesting video because it's going to be really short. It's going to be a little walk around. Early spring. It's April 8th today. Just want to show my readers and viewers what's happening in my garden. There's new stuff coming up, and it's kind of an interesting video today because it's going to be the first item included in the new sights and sounds section on the Renaissance Garden Guy website. So it'll be there. You'll be able to see it there, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. It's going to be really short. I'm going to show you what's starting to come up out of the ground and what's blooming and what was blooming and that kind of thing. So it'll be quick. Hope you enjoy it. We'll see you in a bit. First things I'm going to show you are a couple of plants that have not been planted yet, obviously. This is a little miniature rose bush, like the very first bush that first plant I ever bought for this garden. It came from a big box store, and it has no name. My first one, which I planted 3 years ago, is huge. It's blooming beautifully. It's gigantic, and it's done well. And I'm hoping this little guy will do the same thing. Little yellow guy, came in a teeny tiny little 2-inch pot. I just love this little thing. And this is my new hellebore. It's Dashing Groomsman from Hans Hansen's Wedding Party series. It's a fabulous little hellebore, and it's going to join my two Molly's Whites. I'll show you where it's going to go. I'm going to probably plant it tomorrow, April 9th, on Sunday. I just put it, came in no pot, just came yesterday, and I put it in this pot, so it's sort of acclimating to the outside. It'll go in the ground tomorrow. Creeping phlox, getting ready to bloom before too long. Looking really, really good. If you look really closely, some Little Miss Sunshine sedum. Just planted as root clumps last year, but they're doing great. Over here, peonies are starting to come up. It's Felix Kraus. It's coming up really early. Some of my other peonies are coming up as well. There's Monarda, Bee Balm. Kind of cool and green. This is the rose garden, and these roses just went through a hard prune the other day, last Sunday actually, and they're doing great. I fertilized them, fed them. They're looking really, really good. And over here is the Blue Girl rose that I just planted. You've read about it a little bit in the image galleries. Planted it on Sunday. This is my lily patch coming to life. This lily patch has got trumpet lilies, Asiatic lilies, oriental lilies, and day lilies, which are not really lilies at all, but they're all growing together in this patch. And you can even see there are some Asiatic lilies that are or oriental lilies that are starting to come up. But the day lilies are all making an appearance, and it's going to be a really crazy, verdant kind of awesome planting feature when everything's up. In this planting bed, Armeria, which stay evergreen, getting some green new basal foliage. This is a really beefy rhododendron. About to hit it with some liquid seaweed on Sunday, tomorrow. This little goldenrod, violas. This little viola bloomed early this year. Got some Missouri evening primrose. Got 3 or 4 of those, and I think there's, you can see some little green coming up. Video quality's not the best, my apologies. Little red shoots. Potentilla, cinquefoil, echinacea. Over here, Muscari is coming up. Little grape hyacinths. They're blue and white in color. There's a ton of them. Snow in Summer is a fabulous ground cover. You can read about it in my 7 super perennial ground covers for sun, shade, and more on the website. It's a really terrific carpet-like thing, and it gets covered in white flowers a little later in the spring. Prince Claus crocus getting ready to go to sleep. They bloomed really beautifully this year. And over here is a Mystic Spires salvia, typically rated for zone 7, but I always take care of this little guy in the winter, in the fall and winter. Leave about 8 or 9 inches of it intact, covered up really well with mulch, and then I wait until really late winter, early spring to prune it back. You can see the little stubs, but this thing will be coming up out of the ground before long. And this is kind of an interesting little section over here, Spanish white bells, which are sort of a mutation of famous Spanish bluebells, but the flowers are white. And I planted these as bulbs a couple years ago, and they're just starting to spread and get really big. This is blue line corydalis, and right in here is a true blue border gentian. It's kind of an interesting sort of little section of the garden over here. And then over this way, Dicentra spectabilis, alba, white old-fashioned bleeding hearts are coming up. I've got two of those guys, and they're just remarkable. They get enormous. They get over 3 feet tall and 3 feet wide, and they're sort of ringed by the original blue hydrangeas, big leaf macrophylla hydrangeas. We're here, Virginia bluebells, a native perennial. It's also an ephemeral. By the end of June, it pretty much dies back to the ground, but it spreads. And this thing, as you can see, I had 3 bare roots several years ago. Put it in the ground, and it's already spread, and you can see it's already setting buds, but they'll get about, a couple of feet high. They're really cool. These are my Bayakovo hardy geraniums. I love these guys. They just get spread. I started out, I think, with 6 or 7 little individual plants, and they've just spread to take over this this east, sort of southeast side of the hill, which stays pretty shady in the summertime. And these are just various primroses, double primroses. This is Primula acaulis. It is not blooming really early. I just happen to buy these guys like this and put them in the ground because I love primroses. I can't never have too many of them. Over here is Pulmonaria. Fabulous evergreen, pretty much evergreen. Really early bloomer, early spring. And it grows, surprisingly enough, it does pretty well in sun. It loves shade. But it's growing with these hardy hibiscus. There's a Midnight Marvel and a bunch of others. They all come up really well, but they don't come up until a little later in the spring, and they don't flower until really August, late summer. Another couple of little primulas that I decided to stick in here because I love these little hardy perennials. Azalea Karen is setting buds. This will have flowers on it really soon. These are my fabulous hellebores. You'll be able to read about these guys in my article entitled "Say Hello to Hellebores." Be coming out this weekend, actually. And the little dashing groomsman hellebore that I showed you earlier in the pot, it's going to get planted sort of in a triangular schematic, sort of in between these two. This guy's been here 3 years, and this guy's in his 2nd year. It's Molly's White. Hybrid Lenten Rose hellebore. The dashing groomsman will go in between them. And of course, Myosotis sylvatica, I've got that all over the place. This stuff is just naturalized here. I started out, I think, with 9 or 10, maybe 11 little individual plants, and it's just everywhere. It's all over this section of this big blue and white hill. Primula vulgaris, these cottage double whites, more primroses. These guys are flowering already. They're always the first to flower in my garden. Various heuchera and hydrangea, honeysuckle. This is gold flame honeysuckle, pretty much engulfs this trellis. Should bloom beautifully this year. And as I walk you over this way, I'm just going to show you the biggest example of climbing hydrangea. Really, really assertive climber. These things will get like 50 feet high, and they grow and attach themselves with aerial roots. Fabulous vine. It's making its way up this trellis. A Japanese spirea. Of course, there's lots of tall garden phlox around this garden. In this big blue and white hill section, it's all white. It's called fashionably early crystal, and it's gorgeous. Fabulous drifts of white flowers. And here are more of these incredible true blue border gentians. They're just the most remarkable blue when they bloom. They're incredible. Montauk daisies, more snow in summer. Here's one of my 2. These get enormous. This is a Delphinium aurora blue. It's a Delphinium elatum, and it's the most hardy of the Delphinium species. These will live well over 10 years. They get 4 feet tall by almost 3 feet wide, and the flowers are incredible blue. There's one there, and if you look a little bit further up right there, there's the other one. They do great in full sun, and They sort of tower over this phlox, and it's a great color combination, white and blue. And Shasta daisies everywhere. Lots and lots and lots of Shasta daisies. They've naturalized here, and they come back in big drifts. They look kind of small now, but they do get huge. I'll give you another shot of this Blue Girl rose. It's a hybrid tea, exhibition rose, big 5-6 inch flowers. It'll be a real beauty when it grows. Just planted it last week. Over here in the shadiest section of the garden, hellebores are there. You can see these primulas are planted astilba. They're already starting to come up and show some shoots. There's also some tricertis, some toad lily planted over here. It's a little sunny now because most of the tree branches are bare, but this astilba is remarkable. It looks beautiful in shade. I'm going to walk over here to this planter and show you a few more that are starting to come up. They're sort of nestled in. This is all hostas and things that love shade over here. This azaleas does really well in the shade. But, I'm going to see if I can find some of these astilba shoots for you. There you go. Got some astilba coming up right there. You can see those shoots, and more over here. And there are a couple over here. They're already starting to make an appearance. Kind of tough for me to get you in close to them here without stepping in the planter, and I'm not going to do that. But they're all coming up. Astilba is a really wonderful shade perennial. There's another Felix Krauss peony. You can see those red shoots coming up. And over in this planter, there are Sarah Bernhardts. There's one over there. There's a couple of red shoots coming up. And this one, they're tough to see, but there's a little red shoot starting to make an appearance right here. It's fabulous. The flowers are incredible in mid-spring. Over here is a Clematis jackmani. I planted this as bare root 3 years ago, and I just pruned it recently, and it's massive. It covers this arch and in giant dark purple flowers, starting in like late June, early July, and it just goes all the way through summer. Over here, kind of an interesting, curious situation, is the spot underneath this mulch is my Clematis HF Young. Huge, massive root clump. Again, this one was planted 3 years ago too. Came down with a case of stem rot last year. So I waited until late winter and I pruned it all the way down to the ground. It's a fabulous climber, incredible vine, blooms on old and new wood. So I'm hoping that it's going to start sticking itself up out of the ground. The root clump was incredibly healthy. Removed the stems, and it should be doing its thing, hopefully very soon. Now we've got Ilex, holly, another massive Shasta daisy, a clump. This is a Becky. This thing gets like 4 feet tall. The flowers are fabulous on it. More tall phlox, garden phlox. This is got some lavender, which goes crazy. Japanese pyrrhus, lots of heuchera, a sambucus, black tower elderberry, massive bush. And back over here, a couple of rows of Sharon bushes, Hibiscus syriacus, fabulous double blue blooms on this one, and double pink blooms on this one. They're from the Chiffon series. Pink chiffon, double blue blooms, and again, these were just tiny babies when I planted them. They'll be entering their 4th year here by the end of the summer, and they're really getting huge. We got a privet hedge, heuchera, giant hostas that'll be coming up soon. I direct sowed some echinacea into the ground. Those will be coming up soon, I'm hoping. This is the section where I will continue building my limestone features. Going to excavate this pond, but put a much bigger pond here. Frogs are going to have to temporarily be moved. Jim, Brian, all their buddies. And this limestone is going to continue. It's going to be a lot of limestone in here. These rhododendrons they're healthy, but they are ready. I fertilized them. I acidified their soil twice now so far. Once in winter, toward the end of winter, and then just once last week. And I gave them a good feeding of Espoma hollytone. And they're already greening up, and I'm going to really surprise them and hit them with some liquid seaweed. It's got a lot of got a good percentage of iron in it, which they need. And that soil acidification that I undertook with these particular bushes is going to help them assimilate that iron. So they've been hit with soil acidifier, a really excellent evergreen fertilizer, Hollytone from Espoma. I love Espoma products. And they will be getting hit with this fabulous liquid seaweed this weekend. So these leaves will start turning nice and green. You can see that this rhododendron's got some big buds set on it, so it always flowers beautifully. And it's relatively immature, but it's grown substantially. And I think we are going to be just about at the end of our little garden tour. So that's it, guys. That's the end of this Premier Sights and Sounds entry video. Hope you enjoyed this little tour. I hope it wasn't too onerous for you. Always enjoy having you stop back. Have a wonderful day, wonderful weekend. It's Easter weekend, so for those who celebrate, I wish everyone a very happy Easter, and we will catch you next time here on the Renaissance Garden Guy. For right now, John Stamos, the Renaissance Garden Guy, over and out.